Hello everybody, it's Tim here again, here another movie review. I just recently got done watching Pet Sematary, the 2019 version. Now, I've done reviews for the other two Pet Sematary movies before, so if you want to check them out, for free. Pet Sematary 1, I think, is an awesome 4-star flick out of 4. It does have flaws. There is some weak acting moments here and there. But as a whole, that film has just a great atmosphere, and it's really freaking scary with the Zelda stuff and everything. And especially towards the end with Miko Hughes going off with the scalpel. That's great fun slasher stuff. And it just has such a feeling of sadness to it that I really have never seen captured in another horror film. It just has such an epic feeling of pure sadness of losing a child that I haven't seen it captured in another horror film yet. All in all, yeah, I think the original Pet Sematary, despite some flaws, is awesome. Pet Sematary 2, a lot of people hate it. I can see why. Like, if somebody tells me they don't like Pet Sematary 2, I 100% get it. I understand if you don't like it. I really don't like it either, but I don't mind it. I think it's a standard 2-star okay B movie. It's nowhere on the level of the first one, but it's an okay B flick. I can watch it for just like an okay B flick horror film. Now, this one, Pet Sematary 2019, I will say right off the bat, is not, despite the higher critic rating than the original, it is not better than the original film. It's not. Is it a bad film? No. This film is getting a mixed response from fans of horror, and I can see why. It's a mixed bag film. It is. I can see why it's getting a mixed response. Is this a bad film? Not at all. No, it's not. It really isn't. Isn't it awesome like the original? No. The main difference between this one and the original is I really felt the sadness and just like the loss of loved ones when I saw that film. That film just has like a friggin' perfect element of loss to it. This film, it feels like any Hollywood horror film. And that doesn't have to be a bad thing. It can be a good Hollywood horror film. But it feels like, a horror film. Instead of, it feels like I'm watching a movie and stuff, like I'm really into it. Like I felt with the original, with just like, say what you want about the directing of the original, but that director, Mary Lambert, really nailed just like how emotional and horrible it is to lose a child and just any loved one. Here, this just feels like any horror film from Hollywood. And that doesn't have to be a bad thing. Like I said, it can be a good one. And I'll go ahead and spoil it. I'd give this 3 out of 4. This is not an awesome film. It's not a great film either. This is a good, standard, enjoyable enough horror flick. Are you missing anything if you don't watch it? No, you're not. Honestly, you're not. But if you want to watch a horror film and this is like the only one out in theaters, sure, it's fine. This is a fine, good, standard horror film. I enjoyed the film as a whole. It has flaws. The acting here is better than the original. Except for Fred Gwynn. He was great in the original. John Lithgow here, who plays Judd, he does a good, solid job, and I liked him here. I could have used more of him. He is in the film a lot, he is in the film a decent amount, but I would have liked a little more of him. He is good here, though, and I like the version of Judd that they go with here. He's a little bit more distant, more of just like an ordinary guy, instead of just like the warmth type feeling of the original Judd. But he's good here. John Lithgow is good here. Matter of fact, he's probably the best in the film. Best character. And Jason Clarke, who is an actor I like, plays Lewis here, Creed. And his acting is good. It's actually fine. But because he doesn't... This film's biggest problem is how rushed it is. It wants to just like rush, till it gets to like the real heavy, crazy stuff. It just feels really fast-tracked. And that's a problem here. The original film has a more somber start, and it really elevates the creepiness, and you just kind of go with the movie, and that really gets you into the sadness of the situation as it goes along. Here, it's just like rushes, like really fast. Like it just wants to hurry up and get you through it. Like this film went by freaking quick. Like seriously, when I was watching this film, it just felt like it was like snap, and the sucker was over. I didn't have a bad time with it. I had a good, solid time. But it just went by so damn quick. It feels like there was a lot of cutting on this film. Like they wanted to hurry up and get to the horror elements. They don't do a good enough job here establishing the family unit. The big twist that was spoiled in the trailer is that the girl dies by the truck instead of the boy. And they try to make you think it's going to be the boy, and they actually do a funny job of almost making you think it's going to be the son. But it does turn out to be the daughter. And I like how she's lured out into the road by the zombie cat that Lewis and Judd buried. And the Indian burial ground. I like that. That was a neat change. I like how the cat actually brought the kid out there. And I do like how it's the daughter. But the problem is you don't feel as much of the emotional impact as you did when Gage died in the original. Because automatically, when Gage died in the original, he's an infant. He's a toddler. So automatically, you know he's a pure innocent. So when he dies, you're just automatically sad. Here, because it's a 9-year-old, she knows more about the world and stuff. So you don't get that 100% innocent quality. So they have to do more of establishing the relationship between her and her father. And because the movie rushes through it so much, you don't get it. And the girl who plays the daughter here is great. She is great. Like, as a whole, she's the best part of the movie. Judd is my favorite character, but as a whole, she's the best part of the movie. And towards the second half of this movie, they completely change everything from the book. And another thing, Pascal is here, and the actor, his character, it's not even the actor's fault. Like, the way the character's used, he's not as good as the original Pascal at all. He's passable, and Zelda here also isn't as good. You get one good scare scene with her, like when the mom looks through a mirror in the bathroom, and all at once she just like falls down really fast, and you just don't expect it. It jarred me. It did scare me. That was a scary scene. You do get one or two creepy scenes with Pascal, and he's much more bloody and messed up in the face here. The gore was good on him. And but he's not in the film enough to give an impact. It's almost like the movie just forgets about him later on. I have a feeling that he probably had a later scene that was deleted. That's what this film feels like. It feels like they turned in a longer film, and that somebody made a producer or somebody said, "Buddy, we gotta get to the horror faster. Get rid of the family drama crap. Cut. Let's get to the horror." And in a way, a film can be too slow, but here they really went way too damn fast. Like, seriously, way too fast. I wasn't hating the first like half of this movie. I was like, well, that's all right, and that's an enjoyable scare. And then for most of the time, though, I was like, well, it's passable movie. But once this film gets into like the second half, when the daughter dies, which is a really cool twist that I personally like because it helps make the film different from the original. And this is a remake, and you need that. And when the daughter dies, it is different, but you don't feel as much impact because they didn't establish her relationship with the father good enough. And when she comes back to life, it's really cool because they totally change it from the book. Here, when they come back, it's like when they die, their souls pass on, so the real living essence of them is gone. So it's just like their brain and their body and their memories, but their body is infested by the evil of the Wendigo spirit, which they touch on more here. And I like that element. You actually see it a little bit in the woods later as like kind of like a little cameo appearance. It's just like a silhouette of it. That was neat. But when they come back, they're actually not really psychotic at first. It's like they know something's wrong with them, but they only become psychotic and evil when they feel rejected, when they know that they're not as good as the living. And then they want to kill the living to either protect themselves or to kill their loved ones to make them like them. And they kill the loved ones who they feel rejected by. Like, when the little girl comes back, she still loves her dad. She still wants to be her father's daughter, really. And but once the mom rejects her, she wants to kill the mom and make her like she is. And then once the dad sees what's happening, he wants to kill the daughter. And another thing here is the dad is not psychotic here. Like in the original film, like you really feel like the dad would really dig his son up and bury him in the pet cemetery. Here, they don't make it seem like the dad is psychotic at all. He's just a grieving dad. And so it doesn't really ring true when he buries his daughter there after he sees how psychotic the cat is. It doesn't really ring true. And that is another weak spot in the film. But he realizes what's going on, so he wants to kill the daughter because he knows he's messed up. And when he tries to kill her, he gets her down. He gets ready to kill her. And but you find out she had buried the mom in the cemetery and to make her like her so she could have her mother back. So part of the humanity is still there. It's just that the soul, the spirit that animates it, has passed on to the afterlife. The real person is gone because the soul's gone. And earlier in the film, she kills Judd in kind of a neat scene. They make you think he's going to get it from under the bed, his ankle sliced, or his Achilles tendon, I think, they say it. But he doesn't, and that was kind of neat. But when he goes down the stairs, he sees the cat, and he's like, haha, and it she pops up and freaking slices his foot, and it's really painful and brutal. And he falls down, and she transforms into his wife, and you get the idea that he'd done this to his wife and had buried her before and had to kill her. She's like, your wife's suffering, and now you can suffer with us, and Ellie's suffering too. And he's like, you're not my wife, and he's like, And she's like, I'm gonna get you or whatever, something like that. And he's like, why don't you just effing try? And he's reaching for the gun. She stabs him to death. Like, this Judd goes out like a badass. He doesn't go out like Fred Gwynn, the original, who, even though I liked him better, this Judd is tougher. He goes out like a badass. Like, he knows this thing is not really Ellie or his wife that's pretending to be. He knows it's not really her. And he's just like, just bring it. And she takes him out by stabbing him to death. But anyway, yeah, and the dad gets killed by the mom when he's about to kill the daughter, and then they bury him and bring him back to life, and Gage is like locked up in the car. Another thing, the mom was in Chicago with the grandparents, and she decides to go and check on the husband. There's really no reason for her to bring Gage with her. She realistically, she probably would have just left him there with the grandparents. It doesn't really make any sense at all that she brought him with her. But they need him there for this ending, and I can let that go kind of for the ending that I do like here. When Gage is locked up in the vehicle, the dad put him in there and told him not to open the door for anybody but him. And then you see the family like walking up to the vehicle as like zombie type people, and he like walks up to the vehicle and he's like smiling as he looks into the car, and you hear like the buttons on the vehicle open up as you get the idea that the kid is gonna like open up the car to let the dad in. At the beginning of the movie, you see like red bloody handprints on the vehicle, but some people say that's like indicates that Gage is dead. I don't personally think that, because these creatures only kill when they feel rejected. When they feel like people realize that they're not as good as the living, and they're not really the people they're not really the same as they used to be, because the soul is gone. And I don't think the little kid would know the difference between his family now. And you see bloody handprints at the beginning, but realistically, honestly, that could just be blood from where the father opened the door, because he was dead and would have had bloody handprints on him. I mean, it is funny to think about the fact that they would have killed the son and made him into a zombie too. I mean, not so much funny. Well, it is kind of funny in a zombie movie way. But, yeah, all in all, it's even funnier to me that they could have took the kid and, like, raised him as, like, a member of the family. Like, that's a freaking excellent sequel idea I'd like to see. Like, this boy being raised by this zombie family of these creatures, you know, who are like remnants of his family, and he wouldn't know the difference. And them raising him as one of them. And what the hell kind of sequel would that be? And what kind of life would he end up growing up to have, being raised by these things? That's a sequel I want to see right there. All in all, the ending to this film is nowhere near as sad as the original film. I've heard, like, some people say this film is, like, darker than the original. It's not. This ending is not darker. It's more funny, because it's like the whole family becomes zombie creatures, and it's like they're all going to be like a zombie family. That's funny to me. I was laughing at the end of this movie. Like, the family walks up to the vehicle, and the cat jumps on the hood, and he's, like, licking his lips, and the son's, like, looking out at him. I was laughing my butt off. Maybe that's cruel, but I was laughing because I was just thinking, this is going to be like a zombie family comedy. I want the sequel to this. I hope they make a sequel to this and bring back this whole cast as like a zombie family. I would love it. Honestly, it would be hilarious. All in all, this is a good ending. Pascal just totally disappears to the other half of this movie, though. The first like half of this movie, I was like, it's passable to all right. When the cat shows up and it's like really deadly and venomous here. In the original film, it was like meaner, and it had like glowing eyes and stuff. You got the idea that there was something obviously wrong with it, but it wasn't like psychotic. Here, when the cat shows up, it's like clearly psychotic, and because the film like rushes through so much, it almost, well, with the cat, it felt like they were trying too hard to amp it up for me. Like, the cat's acting in this is great. The cat, like, the way it looks at stuff and everything is great. But it almost felt like they were trying too hard to amp up the scares here. Yeah, all in all, I'd give this a solid 3 out of 4. It's a good, like, Hollywood horror flick. It doesn't compare to the awesomeness of the original. It's a good horror flick. It's nothing to write home about or nothing to break any new grounds. Like, I thought this movie was going to be great. Like, seriously, I was super hyped. As it is, watching it and taking it for what it is, the first, like, half of the movie goes from, like, being passable to, like, all right, but once it kicks into, like, the second half, when the actual, like, daughter gets killed and she comes back from the dead, it became really fun for me after that. All in all, it's a good, solid horror flick. Nothing to write home about. You're not missing anything if you don't see it, but if you're curious about it, give it a watch. It's a good film. You could do much worse. So, thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you again.